Hey, Bestie.
So, welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be a very horrific Valentine's Day episode.
Yes.
We've got two sort of Valentine's Day related cases. Mine takes place on Valentine's Day. Luca's has to do with love and romance. So, very on brand with the Valentine's theme this week, you guys.
Yes.
So,
And we got the I Heart Hot Mom shirt.
Oh, yep. And I've got Maleficent. That's a, perfect combo of love and evil for the day.
So I guess we'll start off with mine. So we're gonna talk, like, don't mind me if I butcher her fucking name. I think I'm saying it correctly, but I could very much not be. For the most part, I'll just be saying her first name though, which is fine. So this is about Yuka Takaoka, and she is known as the real life yandere girl. And if you don't know, so a yandere girl is a female character in an anime that usually takes the form of like a schoolgirl, who eventually becomes aggressive and homicidal. Often yanderes are deranged and they outlet their emotions through aggression and extreme violence. The term yandere originates from yanderu, a mental or emotional illness, and deridere, which means to display affection. So a little background on that term for you. So this event took place in 2019, so not too long ago. So Yuka became famous for her jealousy that led to the near death of her boy. It says her boyfriend, but I assume ex-boyfriend would be the right term. I would hope. One can hope. And his name was Phoenix Luna, which is a really cool name.
Yeah. Blessed her.
I assume he picked it for himself because he was a host at a girls bar or like a host club kind of situation, where like they would like rent out the bartender for a certain amount of time. And I guess she would frequent the club that he worked at, and she had rented out Phoenix. Yuka had rented out Phoenix for an entire month. So she was really helping him like pay them bills and make some sales, because not only is she paying him for the whole month, it gives him more exposure to other people saying, "Oh, well, this guy must be really good if someone rented him out for a whole month." And like that'd be really cool as like a worker that has like that type of work, someone paying that much attention to you, because he really do be paying them bills. Eventually, so like they got to know each other really well because, again, she rented him out for a whole month. And I assume within there they just kind of started dating, and it says May 20th in 2019 they moved into an apartment together. And I really think that this was only after like that month of knowing each other. From like all the information that I can find, I can't find how long they knew each other before moving in together. So I can only assume it was either within that month or it was like after that month.
Okay then.
So they moved in together pretty quickly. And so they moved in the apartment together in May 20th, 2019. And like things seem to have been going well at first for at least the first few days, because they moved in on the 20th. The situation seems to have occurred on the 23rd. So they only lived together for a couple days. Phoenix had promised Yuka that he would help like clean their apartment and get settled in and all that kind of stuff. But he had arrived home 3 hours late that night, from work. And despite his tardiness, he went straight to the bathroom and ran himself a bath. And like I assume he like went to bed within that, like rather than like helping her out or anything like that. He just like took a bath, went to bed, like the man he is. Um Not to victim blame. I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying.
Not to
Men be
take her
whack.
side, but I'd be mad too.
Right. And like so like he was 3 hours late already. And like she was clearly already mentally ill. Like like it doesn't say any like anything like describing her past mental illness or anything like that. But I'm sure he noticed like maybe she got a little jealous or like little things here and there, right? Um, so at some point, Yuka had looked through his phone. I think that was like during the time he was taking the bath, right? She had like scrolled through his phone because she was like, this man's late coming home when he promised to be back. Let me just check. And like, obviously, like working at a host club, there were going to be pictures and she was aware of that, but I guess like one particular picture she found just didn't seem right to her, right? Seemed like they were a little bit too close in the picture, and she had gotten upset. She got angry. She's jealous, and you know what, reasonably so. Like
I mean,
not to take her side,
right.
but
That's like,
it's very reasonable to be upset. Like your man's is 3 hours late coming home without any explanation.
right. I'd
Um,
be pitching a
he
fit.
ignored like I maybe he didn't ignore her, but he didn't like help her out cleaning up. He basically ignored her. He took a bath. He went to bed. Like,
No, I would have
he
lost
has
my
this
shit.
picture. Right, like he has this picture on his phone with this girl that seems a little too sus. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
know. I'd probably be
100%.
upset too.
I would have
Not to
been like,
condone murder, but it
I
wasn't
would have
even
been
murder. He didn't
screaming.
die. He didn't die. Disclaimer: he did not die. Um, but not to condone attempted murder. Um, but like, so like she found so like she found that picture and she had gotten upset, rightfully so. Uh, the and she had after he had gone to bed, she basically like took a knife and she stabbed him um in the liver. She stabbed him in the liver. I didn't want to just say stomach because I'm like that's not quite right. She took this knife and she stabbed him in the liver. And one of the things that I was reading was saying that was like that knife was like one of the things that she like brought into the apartment when they moved together. Like it was like a specific knife, like it was like special to her, I think. Though at least the way it was explained, like it was like, oh, this is what I'm bringing into our relationship.
Okay.
um right, right. um and so she stabbed him and he woke up. um
As one would.
yeah, as one would. um so she grabbed the sharpest knife and pushed it into Phoenix's liver, deep as it could go. As the warm blood covered the bed sheets, Luna pushed Yuka out of his way, right? um and it was a miracle that he kept like enough strength after waking up with the knife sticking out of his stomach to like get up and run away. Like he's covered in blood. Like there is a picture and we will show it. We'll put a trigger warning first, but like let's see. But like he was like covered in blood. He like runs away. He runs into it looks like the lobby of their apartment building. And he is passed out by the time police arrive. But before that, people are like seeing this naked man's just laying on the lobby of this apartment building, and everybody's like gathering and trying to look at it and like calling the cops and like all that kind of stuff. And by the time the cops get there, she's like sitting next to him. Um, she's just sitting there chilling. He's like passed the fuck out, covered in blood. There's blood all over the floor, all over her. She's sitting there smoking a cigarette, talking to her bestie on the phone. But yeah, this is the image of like the crime scene. Um, And then like here's another one from like the other angle. So like there was blood everywhere. And she just did not give two fucks. She was like chilling, smoking her cigarette, talking to her bestie on the phone. She had also written in her diary with his blood. And
Love
let
that.
me stop sharing. She had written in her diary with his blood, saying, "I like you. I loved you so much that I wanted to kill you. I didn't want you to be with anyone else." Like all that kind of stuff. So that's the part that where it's like she's a little odd in the brain. Um, but my personal opinion, and I was just telling you this a little bit ago, but I think the initial her stabbing him and from being upset and jealous would technically be a crime of passion. Now, I don't know the laws over in Japan when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like murder is still murder no matter what, or attempted murder. But I do feel like it would fit like the description of like crime of passion where he was wronging her and she got angry and upset and she stabbed him. Um, Now maybe there's more to it that I haven't found online, like within the few articles that I read. Um, but like it seems to be a very basic. He cheated on her, or at least to her knowledge. She got upset. She stabbed him. He ran away. Didn't get very far because he was bleeding everywhere. Yeah, the bloody scene turned into a spectacle, and people started coming in off the streets to get a glimpse of the blood-soaked, nude 20-year-old. One specter snapped a few photos, which, to the media's delight, quickly made it to the internet. And another part of this situation that is quite odd, which also I think makes people think she's crazier. Not that crazy is a proper term you should use to describe anyone's mental health, but it will make her seem a little bit more crazy because people started to fetishize her and simp over her, which you should not be doing to somebody who just attempted murdered somebody. This is not an anime. This is real life.
Yeah.
And like it's only because she's a pretty girl and I don't know, people are into the yandere type, which is fine, but maybe keep some of that in your animes and not simp over. So like that, I think within like the same day that like it was released to the media, there had been a GoFundMe to cover her, like all the money that this like her case would cost and all that kind of stuff. And she got it is 38,000 for $40.
Oh my
Not
God.
38,000, 3,800. Sorry, that's a big difference. But still, it cut like, and I don't know if they allowed her to use that because the page had been shut down pretty quickly. So I don't know if they allowed her to use that money or not. But yeah, that was 69 contributors who donated that much money.
Jesus.
Yeah, to pay her legal bills. And yeah, that's basically what happened. And so it looks like he had like a 20% chance to live. Luckily he did live. Like nobody deserves to like, I'm not gonna say nobody deserves to die because I have a different opinion. Uh, but somebody doesn't deserve to die just because they cheated on somebody. Um, she had also, okay, so it wasn't in this article that I'm currently looking at, but it did say in a different article that she said to the police that she didn't call the cops because she had planned to kill herself after watching him die.
Love that.
I mean, yeah. Um, I love how that kind of implies that like if she hadn't planned on killing herself, she would have called the cops. I don't know if she would have or not, but that kind of implies that like, oh, well, I didn't call the cops because like I planned to kill myself too.
But otherwise, I would have just called you guys and turned myself in.
Right. And honestly, I don't really have any doubt that she would have with like the way she was reacting to the situation. She really didn't show much emotion about it, like about the fact that he was dying. But he had that 20% chance to live, and he did live. On it says on July 1st, 2019, Phoenix recovered fully from his near-death attempted murder. He posted a Twitter status reading, "Sorry, I'm alive and back." He said, "Sorry, I'm alive and back. Since I was stabbed in the liver, I can't drink," is what he said. Which kind of sucks because he is like a bartender at a host club. So
And he just went through trauma.
yeah, there's that too. He's like, damn, I ain't gonna be paying them bills now. Um, on December 3rd, 2019, Yuka was found guilty of attempted murder and was ordered to pay Phoenix 5 million yen, which is $45,000. And then in attendance was the fully recovered Phoenix, Luna, who not only apologized to her for cheating, but also pleaded that the judge give her a lighter sentence. So at least he knew he was in the wrong. He knew. Like, not that she's in the right from stabbing him, but he knew he initiated the bad reaction by doing her dirty.
I just find it so funny. He's like, you know what? She tried to kill me, but I'm sorry. And you should totally go easy on her.
He like acknowledges, he's like, yeah, she did try to murder me. That sucks. However, I guess I did cheat on her and do her dirty. So I'm sorry for that. And then in the end, Yuka received 3 years and 6 months and in jail and will be released in 2023, so next year. If any more information does come from that, like if like anything else, like any interviews or anything come from that, maybe we'll do like a little update video, like when she gets released.
3 years and 6 months for attempted murder.
Right.
That's crazy.
It really is. Like there's like mixed kind of comments on the situation. Like obviously there's like the people simping over her. Someone commented under a YouTube video, I can only assume it was a sarcastic comment, but they said shoddy bad. And it just made me laugh. And then there's like a lot of people who are like she tried to murder someone, all he did was cheat on her. And I'm like, no. Like, it's bad that she tried to murder him, yes, but we are not going to condone the other behavior either. What is this? All these, like, it was only men, it's only men like that are like saying oh well, he only cheated on her. Well, that could be awful to somebody. Like that's traumatizing too.
Yeah, like not saying
like a lot of people. I was watching something earlier. I was watching somebody on YouTube reacting to, on straight TikTok, they have like those prank videos where they pretend to cheat on their partner. I was watching somebody reacting to those, and they were like making a good point. They were like, a lot of people have genuine trauma about cheating. Like that's not funny. It's not okay. Like I don't know her past. There wasn't a lot of stuff on her past, but like she probably had some sort of trauma. And she like, especially with that, to have that sort of reaction, and not to condone it again. Trauma isn't an excuse, but it is a reason.
I would have lost my shit. Like, not I probably stabbed him.
I don't think I would have stabbed somebody, but like I would have been really upset.
Yeah,
I probably would have had a response to that, like was pretty negative, especially with the way that he had treated her earlier that day too.
I would have lost it.
Right. again, we're not condoning attempted murder or murder. However,
In this
we are also
situation,
not condoning cheating and being a shitty person.
right, we are not condoning any sides of this story.
Right.
Moral of that. That's the moral
Yeah.
of the story. We
And
condone
like
them.
also, I'm the kind of person like I understand why she reacted the way she did. I can totally understand that from like a psychological point of view. I understand it. Obviously I don't know what their relationship was like other than the fact that it was really fast and they probably didn't know much about each other. But I will never understand someone who just cheats on somebody unless you're in a toxic relationship and in a bad situation. Then I can understand it, not condone it, but understand it, because I've been in situations like that before and like I know other people who have. But like cheating is so odd to me. Like if you want other partners, just talk to your partner about having an open relationship.
Yeah. I wanted to do something a little different. It's still true crime, but today, instead of talking about a murder case, I wanted to talk about an unsolved missing persons case. So, Harold and I believe it's Aquila Degree. It's spelled Iquilla. So it's
Mm.
like Aquila. Um, so they got married. Harold and Aquila got married on February 14th of 1988. So they got married on Valentine's Day. A year later, they had a baby boy named O'Brien Degree. And then a few years later, they had Asha Degree on August 5th, 1990. And this happy little family of four lived in an apartment on Oakcrest Drive, just north of Shelby, North Carolina. Harold and Aquila were both very caring parents, but they were also very hardworking and very strict with their children. As O'Brien and Asha, sorry. I keep saying Asha, but it's Asha. So excuse me if I mispronounce her name. Uh, O'Brien and Asha got older. As they got older, they became known as what's called a latchkey kid. I had never heard that term before researching this case, but apparently that's what you call a child whose parents will be at work when the kid comes home and they just let themselves into the house and wait at home for their parents to come home, which I did that growing up as a kid. Um,
Mm.
like once I got to a certain age, I just let myself in the house. I didn't do anything after school. I just went home.
Mm.
So their parents really wanted them to have a life centered around their extended family, church, and school. And
Mm.
due to the fact that Harold and Aquila worked and wouldn't be home when the kids arrived home from school, they made sure that their kids knew not to talk to strangers or leave the apartment without their parents being home. They expected their kids to be working on homework or already finished by the time that they got home from work. And this was, the same thing in my house. I wasn't supposed to open the door for anybody. I wasn't supposed to answer the phone. I wasn't supposed to leave my house when my mom wasn't home. I was just supposed to come home, do my homework, and wait for my mom to get home.
Mm.
Um, and Aisha really followed her parents' rules. She was very shy. She was wary of strangers. Um, the family didn't have a computer in the home. They felt that at the time there was too many stories on the news of pedophiles luring children in through the internet, and they wanted to shelter their kids from as much of that as they possibly could. So, on top of everything that her parents had done to make sure that she would stay safe and wouldn't do anything, reckless, or, she wouldn't do anything that would endanger her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, her biggest fears, little 9-year old Asha's biggest fears, were dogs and the dark. She wouldn't even pet like any of the dogs in the neighborhood. She was terrified of dogs, and the dark as well. And her mom even made a comment. She said that she was cautious, shy, and sensible. And at one point, her mom said, "I never thought she would go out of the house," which, obviously that's a bit of an exaggeration, but that just really shows um, the kind of person that Aisha was, the kind of kid. Like, she was very much a homebody. Um, Despite this, she was in the fourth grade at Falston Elementary School. She played basketball as a point guard, and from what I've seen, she was apparently a really good basketball player. She was apparently one of the team's star players. So then on Friday, February 11th, 2000, school was closed for Aisha and O'Brien, but their parents still had to work, and so both of them went to their aunt's house for the day. Their aunt lived in the same neighborhood that they did, so it wasn't too much of a disruption from their lives. And so they left from their aunt's house to go to youth basketball practice at their school that day. The next day, on Saturday the 12th, Aisha's basketball team had a game and they ended up losing. It was their first loss of the season, and Aisha was especially upset because she had fouled out in that game. Her parents said that she was relatively upset about this and she cried with her teammates following their loss. However, they said that once her brother's game started, she seemed to have mostly gotten over it and she just watched the game like normal. The following day, Aisha and her brother went to church from a family member's house and then went back to their own home. And that night at around 8 p.m., Aisha and her brother were tucked into bed. There was a lot of rain and really high winds that night, and at around 9 p.m., the power got knocked out. I've seen conflicting reports about the events of this night in general. Some have said that the kids didn't get a bath that night because the power had been knocked out. So then that would have meant that the power was knocked out earlier than 9 p.m. I've seen some things saying that the wind knocked out the power. I've seen some things saying that a car accident knocked out the power. But regardless, the power got knocked out at around 9 p.m. that night. And at about 12:30 a.m., the power had come back on, and Harold had been working a late shift somewhere and had just come home. And he checked on the children when he got home. He saw both of them laying in their beds, and he went and I think he like watched TV or something, just to kind of wind down from work for a little bit. And then he checked on them again at about 2:30 a.m., right before he went to bed, and once again he saw both of the children laying in their beds. Shortly afterwards, O'Brien says that he heard Aisha's bed squeak, but he just assumed that she was just, shifting in her sleep, and he just ignored it and went back to bed. However, what he didn't know was
How
that
old was she again?
she was 9.
Okay, so like she could have been getting up to go to the bathroom. She could have been
Mhm.
like shifting
Yeah.
around.
What her brother didn't know is that that squeak that he had heard was his 9-year-old sister getting out of her bed, changing into a white t-shirt and jeans, packing up her book bag, and leaving her house.
Mm-hmm.
Following this, at around 4:30 a.m., several drivers report seeing Aisha walking on the side of North Carolina Highway 18. One driver states that he turned back to go back and ask her if she was okay and, what she was doing walking on the side of the road at 4 o'clock in the morning. And
Was
as he,
this a school night too?
it was Monday.
Yeah, so it would have been extra odd to like see a little kid walking around that late at night too. Not that it wouldn't be odd on a weekend, but extra odd on a school night, I
Right.
think.
So it's 4:30 in the morning. It's like
Yeah.
4:15, 4:30 in the morning. She's walking along and um he said that when he saw her, it was like a downpour at the moment. Because remember, it was raining and it was windy. So he
Yeah.
said that when he saw her, it was pouring down rain. And all she
Yeah.
was wearing was a t-shirt and jeans. And he said that when he pulled back around to ask her if she was okay, she took off into the woods and just bolted. And he said that he circled around like 3 times in total. And after this point, she was never seen again.
Yeah. Did he
Um,
did he report?
so at this point in time, no one, none of the 2 people that ended up coming forward later about seeing her at 4 o'clock in the morning on the side of the road, none of them called the police.
What the fuck?
Who? Who sees a 9-year-old girl walking along the highway in the middle of the night and doesn't call the police?
Right. At that point, it's partially their fault she's missing.
So
I hope they feel like shit.
at 6:30 a.m., when Aquila went to have the children take a bath and get ready for school, she discovered what I can only imagine is one of every parent's worst nightmares. Aisha's bed was empty.
Yeah.
She, woke up her husband and, was like, Aisha's not in her bed. She's not in the house. And he at first thought, okay, maybe she went over to my mom's house because it's right across the street. So they went over and they checked his mom's house. However, she wasn't there. Aquila called her mother, and her mom was like, you got to call the police. So they called the cops, and officers arrived on the scene within 10 to 15 minutes. They checked the house. There was no sign of forced entry or forced exit. And upon working with the family, they had determined that Aisha's backpack was missing, along with her black Tweety Bird purse, a pair of blue jeans with a red stripe, black sneakers, a long sleeve white shirt with purple lettering, a red vest with black trim, black overalls with Tweety Bird on them, and a long sleeve black and white shirt. The thing is, despite all of the clothes that she took with her, she did not take a single winter jacket with her. All of the family's winter clothing was still in the house. She didn't have a jacket, she didn't have a hat, gloves, scarves, anything like that. And this is February.
Yeah.
Police took out sniffer dogs to try and see if they could find her, but the canine units couldn't find a single scent trail to follow.
Really?
Aisha's family and friends and neighbors went searching for her in the streets, and Aisha's mom said that she called her name so loud that she had woken up the whole neighborhood within the hour. And
Yeah.
at that point, everyone came out and started looking for her, calling her name, looking and combing the streets as much as they could. The following day, on February 15th, police found her Mickey Mouse hairbow in a nearby shed, along with candy wrappers, a pencil, and a marker, as well as a photo of another young Black girl around Aisha's age who still has not been identified. Over the next 7 days, they spent 9,000 man hours searching a 2 by 3 mile area and found absolutely nothing before calling the search off. They also combed through 300 tips and came out with nothing from those as well. Police began to believe that either Aisha had gotten lost and died of hypothermia, or that she had gotten picked up on the side of the road somewhere and was kidnapped. At this point, the FBI and North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation joined efforts to help find Aisha, while the Degree family began appealing on national talk shows and news channels to try and help publicize her case and hopefully reach someone with some information. They believed at this time that Aisha had been planning to run away for at least a few days. They couldn't quite understand why, though, because she wasn't the typical age that you see kids running away, which is typically around 12 years old, apparently.
I was about that age when I tried to run away from home the first time.
She didn't have a dysfunctional home life and she did well in school. Like her family was
Yeah.
very loving, very caring.
Well, that basketball game was like the same day she ran away, right? So like,
It was the basketball game was Saturday and she ran away at like 4 a.m. on Sunday, but they said that they believe she'd been planning to run away for a couple of days at that point.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought maybe it was because she was so upset about that and she decided to run away, because that might have made sense, but I don't see why she would run away besides that,
Right.
especially if she had like a pretty decent home life other than her parents not being home.
And why would a girl who's afraid of the dark, afraid of dogs, afraid of strangers, why would
Right,
she run away at 4 o'clock in the morning?
right.
Especially when it's rainy, it's cold, it's
And there
windy.
wasn't any, it was just her that went missing, right? No other like kids from the school or anything.
I don't believe so.
Because so when I was about that age, I had planned to run away. Me and my sister made like a map and everything of where we wanted to go, how we wanted to leave, and everything. But we had planned it with a friend from school. So like I thought maybe like one of her friends had a bad home life and she was running away with her friend. But if she's the only one that went missing, then that doesn't make sense.
Unless she had planned it with a friend
Unless she hadn't gotten to the friend's house yet and she got kidnapped on the way there.
or her friend decided to not
To
do
not go
it.
through with it.
Yeah, and she did anyways.
Yeah.
Um, but
It could be anything. I mean, she's only 9,
that
or she
doesn't
was.
seem too likely, and you'll see why in a little bit. There's just so many questions. There's so many questions.
Yeah. And when did this happen?
Um,
How old would she be now?
this was in the year 2000.
So
She would be
almost
30.
30, 30,
She would be
like
um
29, something like that.
yeah, she'd be like
Like
29, 30, somewhere in there.
30. I'm
29,
21.
30-ish, somewhere in that
30.
age range.
Yeah.
Okay, so they believe that Aisha had run away and then for some reason either gotten lost or abducted. However, despite all
Mm-hmm.
their efforts, they didn't get any new leads for over a year and a half. On August 3rd, 2001, construction workers who were digging an access road in Burke County, 30 miles away from Aisha's home, unearthed a black trash bag. They opened this trash bag and inside found a second trash bag. When they opened the second trash bag, they found a child's backpack with Aisha's name and home phone number written on it. Police came and searched the area. They say that the only thing that they found was a pair of men's khaki shorts, and they deemed those irrelevant to the investigation. Finding the backpack didn't do much to help in the investigation, and it was sent off. Um, it had been sent off for forensic testing by the FBI, and the results of those tests have never been publicly released. Police announced at this point that they believe foul play to be involved in her disappearance and that she had likely been. The verbiage that was used was adjusted after she willingly
Mm.
left the home. I'm not sure what that means. Um,
Wait, say it in the sentence.
they said at this point they believe foul play to be involved in her disappearance and that she had likely been adjusted after she willingly left the home.
Maybe there was a typo. Maybe they mean abducted.
Maybe. Um,
Because I don't think adjusted makes sense grammatically or anything.
Since the family didn't own a computer, they considered that it would be unlikely for a sexual predator to have been in touch with her.
Yeah.
Then in 2004, a prison inmate claimed that he knew that Aisha had been killed and that he knew where her body had been buried. Investigators went to the site that he claimed her remains would be at, and all that they found there were animal remains. While continuing to push for answers, the degree set up a scholarship in Aisha's name in 2008, and they host an annual walk every year to fund the search for Aisha. This walk starts at their home and ends at the missing persons billboard for Aisha on Highway 18 near the spot where she was last seen. Every year, the billboard is updated with age progression pictures of Aisha. So from 2004, where the inmate said, I know where she is, and then it was animal bones.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really happened with this case until 2015, when the sheriff's office, the FBI, and the North Carolina Bureau of Investigation reviewed the case and re-examined everything, and doing this generated more than 350 leads. In May 2016, they disclosed that Aisha may have been seen getting into a dark green early 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or a 1970s Ford Thunderbird with rust around the wheel wells along Route 18 near where she had last been seen. In 2018, the FBI confirmed that inside of Aisha's book bag were a New Kids on the Block concert band tee and a copy of Dr. Seuss's McElligot's Pool that had been checked out from her school library. However, according to the FBI, neither of these items seemed to have belonged to Aisha before her disappearance, and they appealed to the public for information regarding these items. In 2020, an inmate convicted of sex crimes against children wrote a letter claiming that Aisha had been murdered and that he knew where to find her. But then in February of 2021, the sheriff announced that these claims led to another dead end. Despite all efforts made by police, Aisha's case remains unsolved to this day. Her family still have hope that she is alive, and police believe that there is someone out there with information on what happened to Aisha. The FBI is offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to Aisha's whereabouts, and the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office is offering another $20,000 on top of that. This is the missing poster from the FBI's website. So this is what she looked like when she disappeared, and then this is the age progression picture that they have recently created. This is her age progressed to 29. So this is about what they think she would look like today. So it's got, all the different information about what she looked like when she ran away, the information on the reward, and a brief little summary about her case. And then this one here, I believe, yeah, this one is a little bit older. This is age progressed to 24, but this shows what the cars look like that they're questioning about. So they said it could be either one of these cars here that she could have been seen getting into.
Have they gotten in contact with anyone with those cars? Because it's not like they're new cars or anything like that.
Yeah, so, and they did say that there was rust around the wheel well.
Yeah. Do you think they could narrow it down a little bit?
But the question is, why did they wait so long to release some of the information that they released?
Right.
Because it would have helped a lot sooner.
Right.
This information been out there, like the fact that
Because now, like, this car could have been passed around to different people.
Right,
The condition could be a lot different now.
and
All that
I
kind of stuff.
don't know if the information about the car is newer information. But I do know that they would have known what was inside of her book bag when they found it.
Right.
So why then did they not say something about what was found inside of the book bag when they found the book bag?
Right. Because it's pretty important information. Hey, this stuff doesn't belong to her.
Right. And it was a year and a half later. It's a lot more likely that someone's going to know a year and a half later that that's their stuff than 16 years later.
Right.
So, or
Like, it's possible that library book could have been hers, right? Because it was a library book.
well,
But
they said for some reason they don't believe that it was.
okay. So,
But
like, this could also be a thing, like, if she was kidnapped, which I'm assuming she was, um, it could have been the kidnapper's stuff in there. It could have been another child's stuff in that bag. So another child could have been kidnapped too.
well, and here's the thing. They started talking about this library book and this t-shirt in 2018. And whenever I had seen a quote from one of the officers, and they were like, library records don't go back to 2000. And I'm like, they
That's
might
not
have in
true.
2001 when you found it.
Right. Also, that's just not true.
But he said, like, the school library records don't go back that far, which I mean is entirely possible.
I mean, I guess, but back then it wasn't a computer thing. They weren't wiping the computer or anything. They had the written cards.
Well, they're probably gone now.
I guess most libraries I've been to still kind of have them. Like, they just have the old ones there.
But
But either way, if they would have asked at the time that they found it, it would have been there.
more than likely. So I don't
Yeah.
really.
Because, like, it could have been stuff she picked up. It could have been another child's stuff. It could have been his, or no, maybe not his, but their stuff. Whoever possibly kidnapped her.
Mhm.
Like, it could have belonged to anybody. It could have just been, she could have just dropped her backpack somewhere, and some other kid found the backpack and then threw out the backpack at some point.
Yeah, there's so many questions, and it's just an interesting case because it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
Um, None of it really makes sense. So, if you have any information, I would definitely urge you to give a call. I had the number up on the screen earlier, and I will put it down in the
Description.
description. But for those of you, I guess, that are watching or not watching, listening to the podcast, because I forget that
True.
there are listeners. The phone number to call is 704-672-6100. So if you have any information that could help, lead to figuring out what happened to Asha at this
Or
point.
if you're a grown woman listening to this and that picture looked like you, like, because that's totally a thing too.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that could be you too, that's totally a thing.
Um,
Possible. Probably very unlikely, but very possible too.
right. Like, and Aisha's family fully believe that she is out there somewhere alive.
Yeah, I'm not thinking, like, it's possible that she could be not alive, but also I feel like it's just as possible that she is.
But they just want answers either way.
Right, like, they just want to know.
Yeah, they just want closure for whatever happened to their little girl. And they said,
Right,
if she walked in the door tomorrow, they wouldn't even ask any questions. They would just be so happy that she's back. All they
right.
want is their little girl back. Um, so yeah, it's a bit of a different case for us to cover. There's no resolution.
Yeah, there's no conclusion.
Um, And I'd like there to be a conclusion, but there isn't always a conclusion.
Mhm.
But hopefully, someday her parents get answers.
Right.
Um, with that, that is everything that we had for this week's episode.
Yes. Have a happy Valentine's Day.
I hope.
Don't get murdered by your lovers. Suck.
um, well, I mean, it's going up after Valentine's Day. So,
Yeah.
what did you do on Valentine's Day? Did you cry into a bottle of wine? Um, I think I'm gonna do that after I get off of work. Yeah. I'm really mad that I don't have my chalky wine.
My God, I was just gonna say something about chalky wine. I be wanting some chalky wine.
I want some so bad, but my ex's trash roommates threw out my chalky wine.
Love that. We'll have to get you some more.
So I guess this question of the week, what did you do for Valentine's Day?
Right. Tell us how it went. Tell us the
Yeah.
vibes.
So with that, we will see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.